The man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Darian Durant joins us now. Thanks for taking the time, as always, Darian.
Absolutely. Great to always be on with you guys.
There is so much to dissect in the NFL after this weekend, but I think we got to start with an anniversary, Dave. It's a pretty big one.
Yeah. Okay.
So 2 years ago, of yesterday, yes, this is head coach Corey Mace. Got his first look at Mosaic Stadium, new office, and now a Grey Cup winning head coach and defensive coordinator. So, yeah, it was exactly 2 years ago to the day from yesterday that I'm not sure if you saw the video, but I know all of Rider Nation in Saskatchewan definitely had a chance to look at it. Just pure jubilation and excitement to take on something brand new.
And I said,
oh, wow. So this was, I think I saw this. This was when they just recapped basically when he came in, right? So,
absolutely.
That was the first time he ever stepped foot in the building. So his reaction, pretty iconic. Do you remember the first time you walked into Taylor Field? Do you remember what that moment felt like?
I do. I was just clueless. I think, a young guy coming from the States, you don't understand, where you're going. You don't understand the history behind that stadium, the guys that came before you, the greats that came before you. So I was just young and naive and just wanted an opportunity to play football. I was just released from the Ravens and just was looking for another opportunity. So I can't say that I was impressed by old Taylor Field because I really wasn't. But it was a chance to play professional football, and you hear about Saskatchewan having such a great fan base. And so the first preseason game, when I, saw how the first preseason game was pretty much a sellout, then I realized right then and there that this is a special place for a preseason game to have this many fans.
Man, I love the honesty so much.
I want to know what stood out. Was it the different colored seats? Was it the crown on the field? What was it?
Well, it was all of that, right? I never played on a field with such a steep crown. Never seen bleachers and seating of so many different colors. Definitely had questions about that, but no one could give me answers. So I still don't know to this day why there were so many different colors in the bleachers. But definitely realized after a few games and a few months in Saskatchewan, what type of place you were playing at.
It certainly had its charm. That goes without saying. But, I look back at that Corey Mace video, the first time he ever came to Saskatchewan. He came through here. People wanted to run through a wall for this guy. Now, when he was asked to return, or if he would be going to the Argos, there was an inquiry allegedly that they were looking at him for the vacant job in Toronto. He was quoted, though, saying, "You're basically going to have to kick me out of here." What does that say about the team's culture and with him at the forefront of it?
I mean, with him being from Canada, playing in the CFL, understanding what it's like to play against the Riders in Saskatchewan, you realize quickly that that's the place to be. If you could ever win in Saskatchewan, you put yourself in the best CFL football town in the country. So, and he saw that firsthand as a player. That we had the Western Final there during his time. We had some big regular season games against Calgary, and he was a part of that. So he understood from the beginning as a player what it was like playing in Saskatchewan. And I'm sure as a coach coming in, and then him realizing that as a head coach, if he could get this backing, if he could win and get the fans back behind him, how special that place could be. So he saw it firsthand. And I don't think there's a job in the league that can lure a coach, and especially Coach Mace, out of Saskatchewan.
Darian, I have never been more excited to be able to have an opportunity to ask you a question, because you will have the right answer, which is mine. But sorry, okay, maybe not. But in all honesty, though, there's discussion in this offseason between the CFL and the CFLPA that they may make players' salaries public record, right? They might disclose those salaries. What is your take as a player? When you were a player, did you want that to be made public, or are we invading your privacy?
I like it. I don't think that the salary should be made public, but I understand why. And the reason I don't like it is because a lot of fans and a lot of naysayers, especially when you're not doing well, they like to relate your salary to how you're doing on the field. You know, a lot of people will say, well, you're making X amount of money, you shouldn't be playing bad, or you don't deserve certain things because of the money you make. And I don't like that aspect of it. But, you know, it just comes with the territory. I understand it, and you know, I don't like it. And you know, it's just like any other job in the world, really. I mean, the guys get paid market value. You get paid based on, you know, what the other guys at your position make, the other guys around the league make, and that's just how it is pretty much for every job. I'm not going to say all, because there are some exceptions, but at the same time, your salary should be based on what the market value is. And you know, as far as being public, I don't think it should be.
So as a follow-up, I was raised that is one of the rudest things you could ever ask a person is, how much do you make? Would you ask that question to a teammate or someone inside the locker room? Would you know what they're making? Is that any different than what we're talking about here?
Well, the only reason we know is either one or two things. It's either that they tell us, or it's either being reported, you know, on a public platform, or you know, in a newspaper or online or something like that. But yeah, I don't think you should ever ask anyone how much they make. That's definitely rude. It shouldn't matter what they make. You know, we're all teammates. We all work together, and don't look at my salary as a reason to feel any type of way about me. So I definitely think it's a rude thing to do.
One for Dave. Thank you very much, Darian. You have successfully answered that question. Yeah. When it comes to salary, and this is where we can't understand and fathom sometimes the humanity or the lack thereof in professional football. In the Canadian Football League, Arash Madani was on last week, and he was telling us that Chad Kelly and the Toronto Argonauts have a decision to make on his future on February 1st when he's due a large offseason signing bonus. Is that right or wrong in the fact that the two parties entered into a contract at one point that they both mutually agreed upon, but now one side seems to have the opt-out clause that can definitely affect not only your playing career, but you've got bills to pay, you've got a mortgage, you've got... Can you take me inside that and what the mentality is of that with players?
Well, I never liked that aspect of contracts, you know, the fact that teams could void the contract at any given moment. And then, you know, what you guys agreed on last year, you know, a year later, you could decide that you don't want to honor that. I don't think that's how it should go. Once you sign a contract and you put guaranteed money in there, or you put what you should make over that 2 or 3 year time span, then that's what it should be. But at the same time, being in this game pretty much my entire life, I understand. And that's just how it goes. I don't have to like the rules. If you want to be a professional athlete, you have to abide by those and how those things go. So, you know, in Chad's case, I've been in situations like that as well. I was in it with Montreal, do a roster bonus during the winter, and they decided not to pay it, which I understand. So it's just unfortunate, and that's just how it is. But at the same time, this is what we signed up for, and we're big boys, and we understand that this is what comes with the game. And I can, you know, hate it with all my might, but that's just how the game goes, and I don't see it ever changing.
So is there a conversation between you and the team prior to that bonus becoming due? Like, or is it completely off guard? No, sorry, check void.
Well, it depends on your relationship with the guys in the front office, first and foremost. I mean, not every GM is going to have the heart to come to you and let you know. Sometimes they let the assistant GM call. It just depends on your relationship with them. You know, I would love for everyone to be transparent, and if you know ahead of time, to just let the player know what you're going to do when that deadline comes. But at the same time, you know, some GMs, it does come down to the last minute where you're just so unsure about a player, or you have so much love for a guy that you really don't want to let him go, and it's just eating you up to do that. So the personal side definitely comes into play in some occasions, but you know, at the same time, you would hope that a team would give you the courtesy to let you know ahead of time, and maybe even give other teams a chance to see if they're willing to honor that contract before you're released.
Anxiety at all as a player
sure.
waiting for that moment?
For sure. I mean, especially as a quarterback, I mean, quarterbacks make a lot of money. And, most of the time in the offseason, you're due a large bonus. And it gives you that security knowing that you have a job, knowing that the team still wants you, and knowing that come May, you're going to be the quarterback of that organization. So it's definitely nerve wracking, and some players, even at every position, regardless of how big your bonus is in the offseason, you're counting on that money, right? I mean, a lot of guys in the CFL don't make a ton of money. You need that offseason money to kind of get you by until it's time for training camp to open. So you're counting on it, and it could definitely be nerve-wracking if you weren't financially responsible and you put yourself in a bad situation.
See, I'll be totally transparent. I didn't know that quarterbacks made a lot of money because I never asked any of them how much they make. It's just rude, right? But does that piece add up to a lot in CFL contract negotiations, that off-season potential bonus or money?
It depends on the leverage you have, right? If you're a young guy, you're maybe top 2 or 3 at your position, you may opt to not receive that roster bonus. You may want it all during the season, or you may want it in a signing bonus. It depends on the leverage you have. Different guys come to the table with different requests, and it just depends status with the team, how the organization feels about you, and if they're willing. A lot of times the organizations don't want to give you so much money up front because you may get hurt, you may fall off a cliff and lose your abilities. You just never know what may happen, so you don't want to give guys. And I mean, in my case, I tore my Achilles, after signing a big contract. So you don't, as an organization and as a front office, you want to protect yourself in case guys get hurt. This is a gladiator sport where there are injuries every single week, and sometimes they're season-ending injuries, and you don't want to put yourself in a position where you owe a guy a ton of money and he's hurt.
Obviously, the dollar figure, right, incrementally grows. And is there a lot of difference, though, between an NFL player contract and a CFL player contract in the emotions that you're experiencing and the way that you go about making sure you get that signed?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you're talking about millions and multi-million dollars contracts in the NFL, whereas in the CFL, guys are hoping to make $100,000 just to get in that 6-figure range. So I'm sure, I never signed an NFL contract, but, being as close as I am with my brother and just seeing the amount of money that comes with playing in the NFL, I could only imagine the way his heart is just pounding when those numbers are talked about between himself and his agent. I just couldn't imagine that much money being on the table.
But take the money aside, though, like guys still have bills to pay, whether you're making $100,000 or $400,000.
Yeah, you're right. So, yeah, it could definitely be nerve-wracking. But I think that, nowadays, especially in a place like Saskatchewan, you really don't have to dish out as much money to live. There's so many people in the community that will give you a discount on rent. There's so many opportunities to go out and make a little bit of money off of the field. So it just depends on where you are. And then you look at a city like Montreal or Toronto. For a young guy, it could be pretty expensive to live there. So each situation is different, but at the same time, you have to be responsible with your money because, you're an adult, and you have to make sure that you put yourself in a position where, just in case you are released or a team doesn't want to grant you that bonus, that you're in a decent situation financially.
Well, now that I've hijacked the entire conversation, the last one on this subject, but again, it's all in support of my argument that we don't want to know how much everybody makes, so we're good.
Yeah.
But you talked about your first impression of Taylor Field when you showed up and you saw it, and we saw Corey Mace's reaction 2 years ago yesterday. How much does the facilities that you're able to perform in, again, Mosaic Stadium is such a gem down the road. How much does that factor into your willingness to join an organization like the Saskatchewan Roughriders, or anyone in particular?
Well, first of all, if I was walking into new Mosaic Stadium, I would have a totally different reaction than I had at old Taylor Field. Let's just make that clear. But I mean, it matters. I think the the type of facilities you have, the type of training staff, rehab facilities, hot tub, cold tubs, different things like that, they all matter. I mean, guys want to be comfortable, right? Guys want to be in situations where they know and that if they were to get injured or when they want to go work out. I remember back in the day, I used to hear from some of the old guys where they had to go lift weights at the local YMCA or local gym down the street sometimes. So it matters. Guys want to be comfortable. Guys play in a beautiful stadium. Guys don't want to play in a dump where there could be a leak in the ceiling or something and water's dripping down, and you just never know, man. So the facilities matter, the fans matter, the city matters. I think everything comes into play when guys are making a decision on what city and what team to play for.
See, I hijacked your turn now.
Well,
Sorry.
Should we talk a little NFL? I don't know. This is CFL offseason here, gentlemen. Aaron Rodgers. Can we start there? Playing with that injury, the fractured wrist, frustrated. I mean, he had, fewer than 2 passing yards now for a couple of straight games here. And then the Fire Tomlin chants came out.
Yeah.
What is your take on the Pittsburgh Steelers right now?
You know what? I understand the fans' frustration, and I hate speaking on coaches and what they're not doing. But it just seems like he's just lost touch with that team. I mean, they have the highest paid defense in the league. They're at the bottom statistically defensively, and they just can't seem to get anything going with Aaron Rodgers, who I still think can play at a high level. The only thing you can look at is when you feel like you have the talent and it's not other, and you see guys like Ben Johnson going to Chicago and winning right away. I mean, you have to kind of look at the coach a little bit and say, is it his fault or is it time for change? Do we need some new blood in here? Guys that a younger coach that can possibly relate to the younger guys. So, I just think they're a historically great franchise, in my opinion, top 5 franchise in the league. And when the fans start chanting like that, it may be time for a change. 20 years is a long time to be a coach in one place. And then when you're struggling and you seem to be having one of the worst years in franchise history or a worst year in the past 20 years, it may be time for change. So I definitely understand the frustration there in Pittsburgh.
I feel for him, but I'm also a Bengals fan, so I didn't mind it.
Yeah. So you had a good weekend.
Well,
maybe.
What have you seen in Aaron Rodgers that has you convinced that he's still able to perform at his elite level? That's what he is, right?
Well, I just look at the zip on his throws. I look at he's not moving like he used to, but he's still shown the ability to get outside of the pocket and make some throws. And the mental part of the game is there. You could hear him in a post-game press conference talking about making checks and guys not being in the right spot, guys not seeing the same thing that he's seeing, and just not being on the same page with his receivers. So, I mean, if you're there mentally, I still think he's accurate. He still has one of the best arms in the league. So, I mean, I still think that in the right system, in the right with the right tools around him, he can still be successful. But I mean, if you're dealing with guys like he said who don't want to come to meetings after practice, who are not putting in the time in the film room, then you're going to see these type of results that Pittsburgh is showing offensively. So I still think he has it. Whether he wants to continue to play or not, I don't know, man. He's getting beat up. As you could look at his nose in the post game conference. I mean, whenever a quarterback has a bloody nose like that, then he's been pretty much beat up. So I don't know how much of that he can take when you're over 40.
I think we could probably all agree that, following that Dallas Cowboys dominant victory, that, it was sensational, like front to back, wire to wire. You wanted to
talk. Dak Prescott, whatever.
Is Kansas City's run done?
I would say for this year, whenever you talk about Mahomes, I still think, he's in his prime. He's right around 30 years old, so he still has a long way to go. I just think that, starting the season without Rashee Rice, all the different things that were going on, Xavier Worthy started the season hurt. They don't have a bona fide number one receiver. And then with Pacheco, he's been beat up pretty much all year as well. I mean, that's what you're going to see when a team has injuries. So I wouldn't say that they're done, but I would say for this year, you can pretty much cancel it and I don't want to count them out of the playoffs because they do have Mahomes, but it's not looking too good for them this year. And I think they're going to have to regroup and go back to the drawing board and try to put some more pieces, especially at running back, around Mahomes to make him a little more comfortable.
Patriots or Broncos? Who's more of the real deal?
Oh, man, I got to go with my guy, Drake May, man. He's a Tar Heel. Whenever my guy is he's balling right now, he's the top of the league in pretty much every category. And I've always said this, going back to our coaching topic, whenever you have a good coach, it shows. And Mike Vrabel, what he did with the Tennessee Titans, I mean, with Ryan Tannehill and pretty much no number one receiver to go to the playoffs multiple times, that just shows you that with lesser talent, he can still get it done. So now that he's going to New England, and he has some pieces around him, he has him a franchise quarterback, he has the veteran receivers, and he's a defensive guy, right? So he's showing that coaches are very important, and what he's doing with this New England Patriots team is very impressive.
Wow. And I honestly thought you might go Denver, but they just seem to find ways.
I like Denver. I like Sean Payton. I think he's a good coach as well. But I mean, they're squeaking by, right? They're barely winning. And any given week, I feel like they're a play away. So I wouldn't put them in the dominant category. But with the way New England is winning, the multiple touchdown victories that they have against good teams, that's when I can kind of say that they're playing a little bit better football because teams are really not even competing with them.
Who scares you in the NFC?
Oh, man, I would say right now it's Seattle. I think Seattle's playing at a high level.
Yeah.
If they can get a home playoff game and with that crowd, it could be difficult for anyone. And then Sam Darnold, I'm sure he has a lot to prove. The way he went 14-2 last year with Minnesota, but that early playoff exit, sometimes losing in the playoffs after a great regular season can kind of give you that motivation that you need to make sure that when you get into that situation again, that it won't happen, right? So I look at what Seattle's doing with Sam Darnold. He's playing amazing football. They're a scary team right now.
Can that go the other way? Sorry, Colson.
I was going to hop in quick.
Yeah, go for it.
My brother had Seattle's defense in our fantasy matchup this week, so don't forget their defense.
No, I won't. But yeah, you have to. But his question was the team in the NFC, right? And I know I spoke about the offense, but man, they're just balling right now, and I love what they're doing.
You have no idea how many steak dinners I owe Darian Durant for this conversation, backing me on the salaries and now making you guys make us listen. That's awesome. But, okay, you did talk about Sam Darnold, right? And when you have that, you talked about the regular season success and then the postseason, right? And that's maybe motivated. Can that go the other way, though, too? Can that affect your confidence?
It can, but when you're young and you know that you're going to get these opportunities, then, you can put yourself in a different mindset. You go into these games just thinking totally different because when you have a good team, man, you know that it's not all on you, right? And for him, he's still a young guy. He still has plenty of football ahead. And like Colson said, man, when that defense is balling like that, you don't have to put as much weight on your shoulders. It's kind of similar to me going into 2013. I knew I had a run game. I knew I had a defense. I didn't have to force the ball into tight windows or make the extraordinary play. I could just go out there and just conduct the offense. And I think he's doing that now. And I don't see it going the other way because he has the team that has his back.
Josh Allen is no Darian Durant when it comes to running the football, but he did set a new record for the NFL in touchdown runs by a quarterback. Where is Josh Allen, and what do you see from him?
Oh, he's top tier. I mean, he's one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league, in my opinion. Look, it takes a team to win a championship, and he's shown every year that just with his ability, he can get the team there. But you have to finish the deal. And when you're dealing with Mahomes, I think I said this before. I think what we're seeing now in NFL football is just eras, right? You had a Tom Brady era, and now you're in the Pat Mahomes era. But during those eras, you're going to have a chance a couple years in between there to kind of for your time to get into the bowl and win it, right? And I think that with Kansas City being down this year, this is the time for another team to sneak their Super Bowl championship in. And Josh Allen could be right there, and Lamar Jackson is right there. And I look at Drake May and the New England Patriots as well. So this is the time for Josh Allen with New England. With Kansas City banged up, with the Ravens and Lamar Jackson banged up. This is his opportunity to kind of assert himself to the top. So this is the year for him, in my opinion, with those other teams being down.
You talk, it takes a full team to win games. Are we about to argue that the Houston Texans maybe have the best defense in the league right now?
Man, that's hard for me to say, man, because look, I look at the division that they're in, and I look at who they're playing each and every week, and I just don't see top tier offenses. Everyone was on the Colts train earlier this season, and I just don't see them being an elite team. And then you look at the Jaguars, and then you look at the Titans. So I'm not ready to crown Houston as being a top-notch defense. Statistically, they are, but to the eye, I'm not sure. So I just want to see a little bit more from them as the season progresses, and then I'll be able to have my assessment on that.
I like that. Okay.
This has been such an outstanding conversation until you didn't give me a good reason for why I traded Josh Allen in week 3.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You didn't have the confidence in him, but he didn't start off good enough for you?
No, I was worried. I was worried, and I thought that, and I started thinking with my heart instead of my head.
Oh, no.
I went and I took Dak Prescott in a draft pick that I was able to. It was a long story.
Well, you can't go wrong with Dak either, right?
Thank you. Appreciate that. Now I feel much better again. Again, 3 steak dinners now. Look at us go.
Well, I think we're running out of time here a little bit. I'm not sure if we really want to go deep on Giants and Patriots tonight, but I do want to see how confident you are in Dak and the Cowboys heading into a tough game against the Lions on Thursday, because that's a Thursday nighter this week.
Yeah, I was kind of questioning the Micah Parsons trade earlier this year, and wasn't sure which way that would go. But when you look at them getting Quinnen Williams and shoring up the interior of that defensive line, you could kind of see the vision that Jerry Jones had. So I'm looking at it this week as if they can beat Detroit, then they have a shot at the division, because the Eagles are struggling right now, man. They're not looking too good. They're not doing anything offensively. And then the Giants and the Commanders are going to be at the bottom of that division. So Dallas has a great opportunity to kind of sneak their way into the playoffs, and they can cause trouble. They have George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. They have a very, very explosive offense, and now that they've shored up that interior of the defensive line, they can cause a lot of havoc. So looking forward to the game this Thursday to see what they can do against a good Detroit team, and if they can get this game, then watch out.
Turkey leftovers for supper tonight, or is that all done?
No, that's all done, man. I have a 2-day rule. 2-day rule. After 2 days, it has to go.
Fair enough.
That's probably safe.
Because he's racking up steaks dinners from me. Perfect. I get it. Now we're on.
Okay.
Looking forward to it.
Darian Durant, always enjoy having you on the show. Thanks so much for doing this, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.